This meeting is officially being recorded. Yes. It's in the records. It's going in the books. Nobody can everybody could attest to this happening. So everybody, welcome. We're happy that you're here. It's a day of celebration for HACEMOS amidst the chaos of COVID-19, amid the chaos of everything that's happening, because it goes to reassure that the great work of HACEMOS that we've been doing for the past 30 years continues. The legacy continues. And it's been a pleasure serving as your president for the past 2 years. And it is a pleasure that I get to lead the ceremony of our new National Executive Board leaders, NEB, National Executive Board. Thank you guys for remaining engaged members of HACEMOS, remaining consistent with our mission. And it is a day of celebration because new leadership will come in, new ideas will come in, new energy will come in, and hopefully these leaders are not strangers to HACEMOS. They're part of the consistent bunch that continues to contribute with their time, talent, and treasure. And they're not strangers to the national board. They're not strangers to chapter leaders, the leadership at a chapter level. And we're excited that they have renewed their commitment to continue to serve HACEMOS. So for that, I am very, very grateful. And why don't we go ahead and start the actual induction ceremony, which would then be followed by a dialogue between Ana and myself regarding some of the presidential secrets of being an HACEMOS national president. So I'm going to start by this is going to be pretty formal, okay? And I've shared this with all the officers. So let's just go by it, by the dot, so we could be in compliance with our bylaws, okay? So you have all been elected as 2020 and 2022 leaders of the National Executive Board, the NEB. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and I need you to please to respond accordingly to declare your acceptance to take office starting on July 1st, 2020, and serve honorably until June 30th, 2022. So my first question is, do you commit to lead HACEMOS in the spirit and in the letter of its bylaws and champion its mission, which is to foster an environment where people support and encourage each other to succeed professionally, personally, and in the community? What do you say, Horacio?
I commit, for sure.
Thank you. Javier?
I commit.
Jomo?
I commit.
Don?
I commit.
Ana?
I commit.
Fantastic. Here's your second question. Do you promise to abide by the HACEMOS bylaws in the performance of your respective office? Horacio?
I commit.
Javier?
I promise.
Jomo?
I commit.
Don?
I promise.
Ana?
I promise.
Fantastic. And to your last question, which you guys will get to read each statement. Horacio, do you accept the position of regional president of the West that the members have elected you for?
Yes, I accept. I hereby solemnly promise and swear that during my term as Regional President West, I will conscientiously, faithfully, and impartially discharge the duties and responsibilities of this HACEMOS office to the best of my ability. I will uphold and defend the HACEMOS bylaws and bear true allegiance to the same. I will continue to actively participate and support all HACEMOS activities and programs that are adopted and championed. And finally, I shall impose those obligations upon myself voluntarily and without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God.
As installation officer, I now declare you as the official regional president of the West of the National Executive Board of HACEMOS. Congratulations, Horacio. If you guys want to applaud, you can do the jazz hands. and we can see it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Horacio.
Thank you.
To our next, Javier, do you accept the position of Regional President of the Southwest that the members have elected you for?
I accept. I hereby solemnly promise and swear that during my term as Regional President Southwest, I will conscientiously, faithfully, and impartially discharge the duties and responsibilities of this HACEMOS office to the best of my ability. I will uphold and defend the HACEMOS bylaws and bear true allegiance to the same. I will continue to actively participate and support all HACEMOS activities and programs that are adopted, championed, and finally, I shall impose these obligations upon myself voluntarily and without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God.
As installation officer, I now declare you the official Regional President of the Southwest of the National Executive Board of HACEMOS. Congratulations, Javier.
Gracias. Thank you, guys.
Jomo, do you accept the position of EVP Public Affairs that the members have elected you for?
Yes, that's the role of EVP Public Affairs.
You want to read the rest or no?
I don't have it handy.
Okay, you don't have it handy. Okay, well, that's okay. Well, as installation officer, I declare you the official EVP of Public Affairs of the National Executive Board of HACEMOS. Congratulations, Jomo.
Thank you.
Señorita Dunn, do you accept the position of EVP Operations that the members have elected you for?
I accept. During my term as EVP of Operations, I will faithfully and impartially discharge the responsibilities of this HACEMOS office to the best of my ability. Skip over here. I do hereby solemnly promise and swear to consistently and faithfully discharge to the best of my ability the duties and responsibilities of my respective office. I will uphold and defend the HACEMOS bylaws and bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I will continue to actively participate and support in all HACEMOS activities and programs that are adopted and championed. And finally, I shall impose those obligations upon myself voluntarily and without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Fantastic. As installation officer, I now declare you the official EVP of Operations of the NEB of HACEMOS. Congratulations, Don. All right. Last but not least, Ana, do you accept the position of National President that the members have elected you for?
I accept, and I accept that during my term as National President, I will conscientiously, faithfully, and impartially discharge the duties and responsibilities of this HACEMOS office to the best of my ability. I will uphold and defend the HACEMOS bylaws and bear true allegiance to the same. I will continue to actively participate and support all HACEMOS activities and programs that are adopted and championed. And finally, I shall impose these obligations upon myself voluntarily and without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
As installation officer, I am now ex officio and thus officially pass the torch of HACEMOS to our newly elected HACEMOS National President of the National Executive Board of HACEMOS. Congratulations, Madam President. All right.
Can you wave instead? No.
Yeah, we can do the wave. I'll do the wave. Go ahead. I'll do the wave.
That did look cool because I have all of you on screen.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, guys. Ana, please make sure you remain on the line so we can continue our dialogue. To the rest of you, I'm going to put you as participants, so that way, so that way only Ana and I are both in the what's it called, in the camera setting. Okay. So let me see. All right. D function roles. So, Madam President, before we get started, anything you would like to share?
Well, first of all, I do want to let all the members know that I am a pretty open door policy kind of girl. If you ever have something that you want to bring to my attention, please do. Also know that whenever you do bring something to my attention, unless you want me to share your contact information, I will not. I am very excited to be leading HACEMOS. As I mentioned during the campaign, HACEMOS is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I'm very excited to be joining the rest of the board. We have an awesome board. I'm very excited to be working with them and to see what we can accomplish. And I know times are challenging, so we might have to change some of the things that we normally do in the way that we deliver them. But I think that regardless of what's happening, we can totally make it a very positive 2 years. So that being said, I think that's all I have for now. What do you want to ask, Giovanni?
No, I think that's it. This is now, so the next foot, so everybody who's here, you know, Anna and I will now have a dialogue, an exchange here so that you get to know her a little bit. I could give you some closing thoughts as national president, and somewhere in there we'll squeeze in secrets of the presidency. How does that sound, Anna?
Sounds great. So I guess I'll start off by asking you, what are some of the key leadership insights you would share with me in the audience?
Yeah, so I think one of the, I mean, I could answer that in many ways, right? So I'll just try to focus on some of the first thoughts that come to mind. And I think the very first one is that one of the least things that is talked about when you step into a leadership role is the challenges that automatically are inherited with inheriting the role of leadership. The second you step into the spotlight as a leader, whether you want this or not, there are already 100 challenges waiting for you out there to tackle. Whether you're aware of this or not, Anna, they're there already. They're knocking at your door. And some of those challenges will be organizational and operational, and some of all the other challenges will be people, will be your members, right? There will be members out there, there will be individuals out there who, without you have done anything, just because the fact that you step into a leadership open the spotlight, they will hold you accountable. Even though you just started this role, they will still hold you accountable for things, even though this is just the beginning of your journey. So just be aware that comes with the leadership role. It comes with the territory. And I know you're a very patient, understanding individual, certainly more than I. and I think you will manage that just well. Along the same lines, I think another thought that I could share in terms of insights of this role is that all the problems will bubble up to you as national president. You know, and it was a very humbling experience for me for the past 2 years, because literally, even though we are a board, right, and there's 12 leaders altogether, the problems, for whatever reason, they always make it up to the national president. People want you to solve things. And as a double-edged sword, at the same time, you can't act by yourself, right? You always have to act within unison of the board. So even though you might, because you're a very action-oriented individual like I am, intuitive, you might want to see like, okay, problem, I got a solution, I'm going to solve it. But you know, you got to stop and you got to think, well, bring it up to the board. Do we want to prioritize it? How do we want to solve this? So that dance between listening and action needs a gap of introspection, and that will serve you very well as national president. And then, as a last comment, in terms of leadership insights, it's always very important to remind ourselves, especially you as national president, that HACEMOS is a 501c3 nonprofit. Every year we have to earn this accreditation, this nonprofit accreditation through the IRS. Every year we got to make sure that our accounting and a balance is in order and that we comply with IRS laws. You know, typically if you're a nonprofit, you know, you hire an executive director and you pay them, I don't know, $100,000 a year to run the nonprofit, and you have an assistant, and you have people that would help you. Well, you don't have any of that. What you have is a board and very passionate volunteers. So even though our format as a nonprofit is a little bit different, it's always very important to remind ourselves that indeed we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and HACEMOS as an ERG is only one of the 2 ERGs that I'm aware about that this is category through the U.S. And it's very important that we as leaders and as board leaders, we treat it as such, and that our members understand the parameters and ramifications of being a 501c3 nonprofit. All right, but I could go for more, but I'll just stop right there with this thing.
So I do want to speak a little bit to the topics that you mentioned, and then I'll follow up with another question. So having worked with very many organizations, having a husband and 3 adult children and, for 20 plus years, I do know the challenges of trying to comply with everyone's expectations at the same time, you're trying to achieve your goals. So I will say that that's to be expected. I mean, we are an organization over 9,000 members here, and we definitely do not share the same views. And I would never want us to share the same views, because that kind of makes it boring, and there's really nothing to challenge us. So I am excited, like I said, to talk to everyone. I am a very open-minded person, so I accept criticism as well as praise at all times. I won't take the good without the bad. So as far as being everything rolling up to me, I don't see that any different from my everyday work, because sometimes a group member might do an error, and I'm not going to tell my customer, oh, well, Giovanni did that. I'll say, we're sorry, we'll fix this. Because we act as one. We're all going to get paid on it when it's a sale, so might as well, all take the responsibility. So I do think that that's very important to understand. If somebody wanted some perfection and they voted for the wrong person, sorry to disappoint so early on. I've never claimed perfection. I do believe that to err is human. We make mistakes. I think the difference is owning it. And I will own every mistake I ever make. I will own every mistake that I've ever led on that was made. And I think if we learn from it, it's not really failure. So anytime that we do something that might not satisfy the masses, which will happen, and I'm not going to promise it won't, I do think we have to take a look back and see, well, what didn't work? Review that, make a comment on it, learn from it, and move on. We also cannot dwell in the past. We have to move forward and ultimately get HACEMOS to the next level. As far as the 501c3, I do understand that this is, something that in many other organizations is definitely a paid role. However, I've always been passionate of the HACEMOS mission, so I'm okay with that. I've always been a volunteer, and I do think we have a lot of help. Our board members are a lot of help, and the committee members are a lot of help. So as long as we all learn to work together, and we're not going to agree on everything. Again, I don't like everyone agreeing on everything, because then there's no challenge. I think we'll do just fine. And I think the more members that we have joining these committees, the more diverse and the more, things that we can resolve and figure out together. So I'm excited about that part as well. But Giovanni, in leadership, we do accept, like I mentioned, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are some of the rewarding aspects you've seen as national president?
Well, certainly as national president has many rewarding aspects, right? I mean, kind of like you were alluding to, right? Both the good things and the mistakes will be amplified because you are in the leadership role. So that just comes with the territory. But I would say that probably the number one thing in the past 2 years that I'm the most proud of serving with this board is the fact that we turn around our ability to raise funds for our scholarship. We were in a decline, right? I think back in 2017, we raised only $97,000 for our scholarships. And then we were able to turn that trend around. And this past 3 years have been the highest years of raising and awarding scholarships for HACEMOS. The highest goal that we've reached so far is $367,000. So which is fantastic, and very, very proud of that, because as Marco loves to remind us, it is through our scholarships that we can really truly influence and contribute to the American dream. So scholarship, I think it's the number one thing that I feel the most proud about. You know, for me, it's very easy to feel that HACEMOS has been a very personal experience for me. And, you know, too often people would say, hey, you have a personal agenda. And my response was always the same. Yes, I do have a very personal agenda. You know, when it comes to scholarships, that was very personal to me because I was the recipient of scholarship. When it comes to STEM, right, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, that is a very personal agenda for me as well because I happen to work for a company that's technology-based, and I happen to have a master's in science and technology. So for me, STEM is absolutely personal. Professional and personal development, right? Those are two very personal things because I always think that you don't stop learning. You should always remain curious. You should always strive to be a better version of yourself every single day. And from the fourth pillar of HACEMOS, you know, volunteering, for me, that was also very personal because every time I volunteer, not only do I feel good about giving some of my time, talent, and treasure to others, but they gave me more. The folks that I was helping gave me more than I could ever hope to give them. They gave me hope. They gave me strength. They refreshed my faith in humanity and all the great and capable things that we can do as individuals and when we are able to collaborate as a team. The other thing that I will mention, Ana, is that, yes, as national president, your network will certainly be amplified, right? So when I became national president, I remember receiving roughly about 1,200 emails from individual members who were congratulating me and giving me their thoughts. And at first it seemed very, very overwhelming. It was overwhelming. But I took the time to answer to each one of those members. It's important to remind ourselves that every email that I got showed the fact that this was an engaged member. They were paying attention. They wanted to be part of something greater than themselves. And so I would say, yes, your network is amplified internally because you get to meet more HACEMOS members. You get to meet some of the great leaders of this company, right, including our advisors who are officers of this company. And externally, you're going to find out that you will also be in a national spotlight because HACEMOS is an absolute leader when it comes to Hispanic ERGs across the U.S. When I look at all of our peers in other companies, the impact that we're having in terms of scholarship, STEM, professional development, and volunteering, it really outdoes almost everybody else who I've encountered out there from an ERG perspective. What else? Probably the most inspirational thing that you will see as a national president is to hear the stories of our scholarship recipients. When they take the time to do a quick video and send it to us and share it, or they take the time to write a letter or a thank you note, I think that's one of the most heartwarming things that could happen to you as national president. I think that happened to you recently, right, Anna? You had somebody send you a letter?
So I actually get those a lot. I stay in constant communication or frequent communication with a lot of these scholarship recipients from Houston because we do have a banquet for them. I cook, guys. I cook for all of the banquet attendees to save money because we're broke. But we'll have them come out, and it's been a very rewarding experience. So I think a lot of the rewards that you mentioned align with what I feel. Every year when I would say, that's it, it's the last time I'm doing HACEMOS, I quit, I give up. One of those scholarship recipients would just bring me back in, and, you know, it happens, guys. I know we all get discouraged, or we feel, some of you board members, you know, you feel like it's the same people volunteering, the same people helping, and you start running thin. So I think just get creative with what you're doing. Houston was very strong when I was part of the local board because we started getting creative and partnering with other ERGs, and it was just a lot more impact that we were developing. But every single time those scholarship recipients would bring me back in and it's like, oh, this is why I do what I do. and it's a very rewarding experience. I also love to go out and help in the community. That's something that gives me the warm and fuzzies, you know, after a crazy day of work and having a day to be able to just go out there and see how fortunate I truly am. You know, why not help others when we can? So I think that's a great opportunity for anyone to just kind of realize, you know, we truly are, you know, some of the more fortunate people. Let's get out there and do that. STEM is also very important to me. Although I'm not as techy as I would like to be, I do want to see more Latinos, more Latinas to be out there in the STEM world. So a lot of the programs, you know, like Tecnolochicas and some of the stuff that HACEMOS was doing, I mean, that's something very near to me because I get to meet a lot of these young ladies who they'll come to these events and be like, you know what, Ms. Garcia, I can do that. I can do that. So to be able to see somebody's mindset change in, you know, 1 hour or two that you've had them with you, that's like really, really a great example of what HACEMOS is there to do. So I love that part of it. And then the network. Guys, if anybody knows me, you guys know I am always out there. So my network is actually I feel pretty confident about. Maybe not my network within AT&T. So I encourage all of you guys to build a network. You know, join a committee on HACEMOS for the 2021 year and then, or 2020 to 2021 year, and see what you can, you know, who you can meet and relate to, because your network doesn't have to be somebody who's above you in leadership. It could be somebody right next to you, somebody, you know, a level below you, because we learn from each one. I've learned so many things from my daughter, and I think, Giovanni, you and I have talked about that before. My daughter is a go-getter, guys. I mean, that child has been working since she was in high school, holding 2 jobs at a time, and she would go away to college by Dallas area and come back during the summer and go back to her diner job, you know, because she's a hustler. She's also gone in front of thousands of people to speak for the FFA because she was, you know, she did her Spanish creed. She's very proud to be bilingual. I'm very proud I taught her to speak Spanish because I think out of my siblings, my kids are the only one that speak Spanish. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I've learned a lot from my daughter, and I think that we can learn from anyone. You know, she's obviously younger than me. You can tell because now we're sisters. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But I mean, we can learn from everyone. It doesn't matter what role we play, and it doesn't matter. Just keep growing your network, because those are the same people that, you know, something happens and we can't stay at AT&T. We can reach out and say, hey, what do you think I can do next? Or what are my next steps? So keep building your network. I went into mentor mode. I'm sorry. I love to do that. But we'll go back. We'll go back to you. Thank you, Giovanni, for sharing those insights with me.
But Anna, so you've asked me a couple of questions. I'd like to ask you one question, and then if it's okay, we could open it up for Q&A for the folks who have joined us in this audience, which I will mute everybody in a few minutes after Anna gives us some insight. I know you have to get together with the board, and I know you guys have to create consensus around what the priorities will be for 2021. But, you know, I think it's fair if you could give us some insight, as you, as our new president, what are you thinking in terms of our top priorities should be or could be for HACEMOS?
We definitely have to address the impacts of COVID on how we deliver things. So we have to, you know, address member engagement during these times. How can we continue to have member engagement? How can we continue to code hours? Because again, guys, hours translate to funds. Funds translate to being able to do more things to get more scholarships. So we do need to continue that member engagement. So I think that's a priority that we're definitely going to have. And of course, professional development. I know it's not something that people like to talk about, but the reality is AT&T is trimming the workforce. So let's get ready to tackle whatever obstacles are in our path. So I think professional development is going to be a very crucial aspect of our future planning. And since a lot of that can be delivered via a virtual environment, I think we're in a perfect setting for it. I do want to encourage people to take advantage of what AT&T does offer already, but there's a lot of free tools we have. A lot of the resources are provided from AT&T to us. Why not take advantage of those? And then of course, we'll bring additional resources in that will target some of our skill sets and be able to pivot those outside of AT&T or within AT&T to find another opportunity. So I think that's going to be another priority. And then I've had several members already approach me about the census and already approach me about voting. 2020 is a very crucial year, and it's a very crucial year for Latinos even more so, because we still have until October to complete our census. And then voting is just around the corner. So we need to reach out to our Latino community and encourage them to cast their votes. We need to educate them on the census, and we need to make sure that they are aware of what resources are there. I know of several of our chapters have already expressed that interest as well. So I think that's a very important one to tackle. I actually have 2 people that have already stepped up and offered to help with that, and I will be counting on both of you guys so that we can do something with that. And I think that the board would definitely be on board with something like that, because it is important. And of course, I want to amplify Hispanic Heritage Month this year. I know that it's something else that's important. We need to kind of broaden the spectrum of understanding when it comes to Hispanic heritage and what all it entails, because we are, even though we're all very alike, we're also all very different. And it's important for us to have that, you know, those conversations. And some of those are tough conversations. You've heard them, you know, those dying conversations that have been a big push from AT&T and diversity and inclusion. Use some of those new resources that Corey Anthony's team have put out there on the diversity and inclusion website, and take all of those things into consideration and develop programs that will elevate HACEMOS, elevate our employee groups, and make sure that we can all work together and find some synergy. Again, we're not going to achieve perfection. Perfection is our goal. We've already set ourselves up for disappointment, but I think we will achieve some great results from working together on some of these topics. I saw some comments come in. I don't know if you can read those or share them. I'm on an iPad, so.
Let's see. I think I have a question from Henry Barrios. Let me unmute him. Henry, do you want to ask a question?
As well. First, thank you, Anna. Thank you, Giovanni, for your 2 years on the presidency. I have been somewhat in contact and a member of HACEMOS for many years, and personally, I wish I had more time, and this is also a fact that we are super busy at our jobs with AT&T. But, well, my question today is based on the rumors that we are having. Probably some people will be impacted with the surpluses and announcement, and wanted to see if HACEMOS will try doing something for our members that may losing their jobs.
So I don't know how much power of authority HACEMOS board would have over something like that, Henry, but I do think it's crucial that just, you know, we're all busy. That I totally get. Sometimes I ask, even when I was running for this position, I was like, why do I keep getting myself into more work? I completely understand. And I work for global business, so a lot of my hours are just, I'll be up at 2 a.m. on a call, or, 7 a.m. on a call, all through the workday and everything. So I completely understand. But I do think that focusing on yourself is an investment. It's not a waste of time at all. So, and I think that the more we invest in ourselves, the better equipped we'll be to overcome some of these obstacles. And I will tell you, a lot of our hiring managers, a lot of HR, they look at our profiles that we put in Amplify, and putting an ERG as part of your accolades and part of your participation does help. So I do think that that's one platform that we can definitely use. If you're not familiar with how to do that, please reach out to us. I think I want to encourage everyone to go in there and update your profile. You can ask some of the chapter board members and some of the chapters that were in the Southwest region. This is something that I've always advocated and pushed for, and you can ask them how many of them have seen positive results. I won't mention any names because I'll let them come out if they want to say anything, but I've helped a lot of people in that aspect. I also do a lot of mentoring outside. So I think that once we start bringing and rolling out these programs, it's kind of going to be an organic process where HACEMOS is helping you to either keep your job or develop skills for a new job. It's not something that we can go out and just say, hey, I don't want Henry to, lose their job. Let's keep him. He's an HACEMOS member. But if we have, the resume to build on, and it's something that you're making sure is visible, I think by all means, use the ERGs to help in that manner. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And personally, I am also in global business and with a company for 17 years. So I have some history and have experienced the advice that you are giving, that networking is important and being active, it is important as well. So yeah, thank you for your answer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would add that, you know, it's important that we all come from a healthy framework. You know, too often what I see is what I call 911 networking. 911 networking, right? You got to notice there's a change in the organization, and all of a sudden you're scrambling to see who do you remember, who remembers you, and I guess the warning is that it's always obvious when people are doing 911 networking versus people who are actively and consistently nourishing and nurturing their relationships. So I have a point of reference of where you are in terms of that. The best time to network is when you do have a job. That is the best time to network. Let's see. I have Hector Molina. I unmuted you. You said that you have a question, sir. Hector, can you hear us? I just unmuted you. I think.
Yes, my apology. I was double muted.
There you go. There you go.
I'm also on the business team, and just kind of the question would be more, what can we do? I guess in our areas, as far as to help out HACEMOS in general, or to, you know, are there things going on in our respective areas of the country, specifically towards HACEMOS, that we can, you know, look out for, any volunteer events or things to just kind of get the name out and let people know kind of what we do and who we are?
There definitely is a lot of activities in all of our chapters. Where are you located, Hector? If you don't mind sharing, or what?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, okay. So we do have different events. I do want to, I'm not very familiar with, that's not my region now, so I don't want to, you know, say what's going on out there, but I do believe that we're going to be working on a lot of national level participation and inclusion as well, because that is a goal of ours, to kind of amplify on a national level so that the chapters have something to carry forward. There's always somewhere for you to help them. And it doesn't have to be an HACEMOS event for you to be able to code volunteer hours in our portal. So I do want to mention that if you mentor anyone within your work group or anything like that, that also counts. A lot of times it's just being able, like Giovanni said a few minutes ago, being able to expand to your network and kind of understand what you know, possibilities are out there. I was on the board of Power on Heels, and that's completely external to HACEMOS or AT&T, and it helped me with a lot of volunteerism opportunities and a lot of ways to bring back to HACEMOS locally and be able to offer a program potential or opportunity as well. So there's the things that if you see something that out there that you're joining, you're like, well, why isn't HACEMOS doing this? Bring it to your regional president or your chapter president and say, this is something, I think it's a great opportunity. And that's also going to showcase your skill sets. And that's also going to put you in the leadership. You know, you could be the head committee member or something like that. And it's going to help develop that. You'd be surprised how many people are looking at what we're doing with ERGs. I mean, I got so many, I didn't even know my VP was part of, you know, my HACEMOS, and they were like so excited to have me on there. So when you start showcasing a lot of those skill sets, it goes back to what Henry was saying, what can we do? You're doing it because you're passion driven and you love what you're doing. So it doesn't even feel like an effort. It doesn't feel like work. And a lot of the process is organic. So it just builds upon itself.
Yeah, Hector, to add to Anna's comment, you know, HACEMOS is your platform, right? I mean, HACEMOS, our philosophy is pretty simple. You know, you have an idea, it aligns with our mission, step up, not only offer the idea, but offer to lead it through execution. gather people together, committee, and then we'll, that was the way that our board operated. I know Anna feels the same way. You have an idea, it aligns with our mission, go ahead and make it happen. We'll support you in whichever way. Too often what I saw was people who had ideas, great ideas, but if that number of ideas are not backed up by number of leaders, then it just stays what it is, a great idea that never gets implemented. The formula that I've usually seen is 20-80. 20% of the people do 80% of the work. And it's the same 20% of the people, right? Anna and myself are part of that 20%. And it's great to hear from new voices like yourself. Orlando has a very active chapter. Christian Cosme is the chapter president there. He's a fantastic guy. I'm sure that he could use someone like yourself will welcome you to be part of the board and to lead along with him to make sure that Orlando continues to be an impactful chapter. Thank you for asking that question. Horacio, I think you had a question. You want to unmute yourself?
Sure. Well, hi, Anna, and welcome to being the president. We're looking forward for you to lead us, and I'm looking forward to support you as part of the National Executive Board now.
Thank you.
Yes. One of the questions I have, and it's been going on through what we've been doing in the Pacific Northwest, and I know that scholarships and employee engagement and employee support, employee leadership, and also employee kind of giving them networking opportunities is in the heart of HACEMOS, right? So it is what we've been doing, and that we've been doing it really, really well. One of the things that we've been seeing in the Pacific Northwest is what we're doing, right? In addition to scholarships and having the employee engagements, is also participating in the community, right? So right now, there is community programs. There's so many community programs that are in need. We have homeless shelters that are asking us, hey, can you help us? Can you give us, even if we can make some lunches for them? Also, there are food banks that are kind of looking for, help, right? And through the Pacific Northwest, we were able to do some because we have our own program. But the question is, as a national level, are we thinking perhaps maybe we can work this together, but are we thinking of enhancing more of that opportunity to give more to the community in need, especially now with the COVID-19? That we know that there is a lot more need than there was 4 months ago. And we know that not only the Hispanic community needs that are there, but there's also the overall community that are in need. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts on that are.
So I definitely think that's something that we do want to bring up with the new board. I think it is important. I do also want to share with you guys, whenever you do these community outreach programs, post it on social media. You would be surprised how many people will ask you, hey, Anna, what is HACEMOS? How can I participate? How can I help? And in turn, we'll get more funds coming in because they'll be able to assist us. I want to participate in that. So in Houston, when we started doing that and we started, we created our Facebook page and we started pushing it all out on social media. And I see a lot of it, again, we had different people wanting to sponsor us. So we had like Primeway Credit Union. We had, several other sponsors through. A lot of them were financial sponsors, and we cannot bring them into the building, and we let them know up front, and they still cut us a check. So once you start putting that out there, it amplifies your reach, and it amplifies your ability to deliver to more communities. Now, going back to COVID and doing something on a national level, I definitely do think that's important. I've seen a couple of other emails come through and some, messages reaching out to that. I think that we also have to know how to address some of these communities. Hispanics are a little bit more afraid to openly share their hardships with others. So I think there has to be a more personable reach to this. So doing it on a national level might not be the best way possible. However, maybe having a national platform that trickles down to each chapter, because our gente, we don't trust everyone. We're a little bit more proud than some when it comes to accepting. And it's not always pride, but there's a little bit more, reservations and things. So I think those are things that we have to consider when even when we're marketing to Hispanics and Latinos, the approach has to be a little bit different because it's not always received and accepted as we wish it to be. So I think when we're doing those things, I think the greater impact we're going to see is at a chapter level. And, you know, that's not to say that we can't create something on a national level, again, that'll, you know, kind of cascade down. I think it is important to discuss that when we start the boards. And if our members have any suggestions or ideas on that, by all means, send them our way, because I think that's something we're going to have a lot of minds and a lot of creativity around.
Fantastic. We are going to field one more question, and then we're going to then proceed to final thoughts. Kelvina, I've muted you. You want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, awesome, great. So my question for you all is, what is the top area that HACEMOS needs support in today? I know that we've talked about a lot of different areas that I guess we need support in, but what's one thing that we could do when we leave this webinar? If there was just one thing you would ask all of us to do, what would be that one thing we could do leaving here?
Question. It's kind of one of those, don't ask what HACEMOS can do for you, ask what you can do for HACEMOS. And I love those kind of questions because honestly, that's how I started. I was like, what can I do for HACEMOS? So I will tell you, Kavina, definitely getting the word out, letting people know HACEMOS exists, sharing our website and everything like that, doing things in the name of HACEMOS, you know, like, hey, HACEMOS, you know, is wanting to thank you for this opportunity or wants to engage you. Bring them, you know, if you know anybody that's willing to talk to your members, introduce them to HACEMOS, because then it'll be a win-win relationship for both HACEMOS and whoever you bring on board. Also, definitely continuing to develop new ideas. Like Ivani mentioned earlier, we both always mention that we're forever students of life. We want to continue learning. We want to keep our curiosity you know, active and making sure that we're learning new things. Sometimes we learn from these things and learn how to better develop. So I would say just bring the HACEMOS name out forward and make sure that it's amplified on social media, on, you know, projects that you do. If it's something that's being HACEMOS driven, put the logo on there. I definitely think that is going to help us a lot, because once we start getting that out more, then we're going to receive a lot more positive impact.
That's a great question, Kavina. Thank you so much for raising that. And if I have to boil it down to one thing, I would say basics. Stick to basics. And the basics in my book are donate at least something, $25, $50 to the HACEMOS scholarship. Log your volunteer hours. Right? Something, whether you're doing something for HACEMOS or for something else, log your hours. And raise your hand. Volunteer. Bring those ideas to the table. Lead an idea into execution. Yes. I see that as the basics, right? And if you want to get away with one thing in my book, pick one of those basics and just bring it to the table. My grandfather used to say the best. He said, you know, the deepest and fastest rivers in the world are the ones who have the most defined banks, right? My grandfather's name was Nilo, which is, in English, is the Nile, like the Nile River. So that's why he used to love that metaphor, is because, you know, the Nile River is very long, it's very deep, but it has very, very defined banks. You know, you can't be everything to everybody. So you have to define yourself. You know, hopefully a lot of you are here, you picked HACEMOS as the thing that you want to be part of to be greater than yourself. I'm grateful for that. Define yourself. What is it that you want to do? You want to donate $25, $50? You want to give of your time, of your talent? Pick something. Define yourself. Use HACEMOS as your platform, and I think it's going to work out great. We have, Anna, 8 more minutes, and this will be a good time for us to share our final thoughts. And maybe I'll go first, and then I'll leave the floor to you. Does that work?
Go ahead.
So in terms of, as I was thinking about addressing you in terms of closing thoughts, I actually was inspired by the painting behind me. The painting behind me is one of my favorite paintings. Is of Don Quixote de la Mancha. You guys ever read the novel Don Quixote by Miguel Cervantes? It was written in 1605. It's considered by most to be the first modern novel. And the premise there is very simple. You know, there's this guy who wants to bring chivalry back, the values of chivalry back into society, and so he pretends to be a knight, and he goes into several adventures. And in one of those adventures, he finds a windmill, and he believes that the windmill to be a dragon. And of course, you know, he charges it, and he ends up being hurt by it. And I think that example brings to highlight two key lessons from a leadership perspective. The first one, I think the most obvious one, is that, you know, if people around you are telling you something and you happen to be the only one with a diverting opinion, you might want to introspectively take a break and think, you know, what it is that people are telling you, because people might be telling you, hey, it's a windmill, it's not a dragon. So that's something very important. At the same time, that also has a second edge. You know, there are times as a leader that you will be pressured to follow the crowd, even though the right thing, it might be an unpopular truth. So that also comes with the territory, and I think this character reminds me of that very vividly, especially during these times. There are times where you got to listen to others. There are times when you got to speak truth to power, and I think we're all entitled to make our own mistakes. We're all entitled to learn in this journey, and I hope we do it boldly, authentically, and more importantly, honestly. It's been a pleasure serving you as your national president. I'm not going anywhere, right? I think Ana has said to me very clearly that she plans to keep me busy as ex officio. What do you think, Ana?
Definitely will keep you busy. So thank you, Giovanni, for scheduling this call, even though I still don't agree with secrets. So once again, thank you everyone who was able to join us today. I very much look forward to the opportunity of serving as your national president. Again, I do feel that there's power and strength in numbers as far as our reach and our abilities go. So the more of you guys that are willing to engage, reach out to us and let us know, you know, what your thoughts are, because I've said this a million times, passion drives action. And if there's something you're passionate about and there's something that you want to see HACEMOS doing and it aligns with what HACEMOS mission is, then why not try to see if we can make it work? And if not at a national level, let's help you make it at a chapter level. So I do think that it takes a village to make an impact. It's kind of like raising a child. HACEMOS is our child. We got to carry it, you know, feed it and make sure and nurture it to grow. So I think all of us together can definitely accomplish that role. I look forward again to serving. I'm not going to say that there's not going to be some, you know, hills of ups and downs. That's always normal. And I am always open to input, criticism, positive sharing of words or anything like that, or and ideas. You know, it's like my household, I have 3 adult children. We don't always agree on everything, but we are the bestest, most loving family. I love my kids. Even love my husband that I've been married to for 23 years. He's in the living room. He just walked in from work, so I'm sure he can hear me. But it's been a fun ride, and we don't always agree on things. And I think that's the same thing with any organization. And as far as work comes, you know, nonprofit organizations, families, everything, there's always going to be 2 sides of a story. Let's rein it in and figure out how we can make it the best success for the story. But that's it for me. I look forward to talking to as many of you as possible. And I do want to let you all know that as soon as travel is a little bit more up to the up, I'd like to travel to different cities. In every city I have visited, I try to reach out to my HACEMOS familia, and this has been for a while. So if you're out there in a city that I visit, I might call you and say, hey, I know you're here. You know, do you have time for lunch or a drink or something? And I love to talk to everybody in person. So that's one of my things. I love to travel and meet people.
Well, thank you, everybody. Here's the clap off, right? Remember, we recorded this. We'll post this on our YouTube channel in case you miss any of our answers or you want to review them. Thank you for joining us and making making HACEMOS part of your day. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you, Martha.